Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be a little bit unique. It's going to be unboxing a Causebox while doing a little chit chat about some social justice issues. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. If not, welcome back. Basically, what I like to talk about on my channel is charities, ways to help people, and also things that affect people, aka social justice issues. I've been doing a lot of reading on this topic, and I kind of want to share a little bit more information in my videos. Now, I did also want to do this Causebox unboxing on video, but I got mine like super late, and everyone probably has already posted their videos and watched everyone else's videos. So if you're watching this to see just like the specific things I got, cool. If not, I am also going to be doing a little chit chat on some things that I learned from this book. I am also going to try to do some more book reviews of kind of social justice issues and things that I learned from reading all kinds of different books. I think it's super important to be aware of a lot of things that you learned in school may not have necessarily been true. I feel like a lot of what we learn in school is kind of a watered down version, like a kid safe version of what actually happened. Additionally, I also do think that our history is a little bit sanitized for our consumption, at least in the United States. And I do know, like, some of these things we unlearned like in high school, in college, but the thing is, because you already learned it wrong the first time, that's kind of what sticks in people's heads. TV shows use that method and lawyers use that method, where basically, say a lawyer is in a courtroom and a lawyer says, you know, they say something that they know is going to be stricken from the record, something that they know they're not supposed to say, but they say it, and then the other person objects, and then it gets stricken from the record, but the jury can't unhear it. And even though they're supposed to disregard it, we are human, and the jury, you know, it's still going to be kind of floating around in their head. So lawyers use those kind of methods to mess with people, usually intentionally. And additionally, TV shows do that too. News shows, I mean, I'm not going to harp on any certain news stations, but sometimes a news station will report something and then they will get sued or get in trouble and be forced to issue an apology and retract what they said. But people never hear the retraction. They are so obsessed with what was said in the first place. That is my big rant about what's wrong with American history. I also feel like super low in this frame. I hope this isn't like super annoying. So I have some notes here. I haven't figured out how I'm going to like combo these two videos, so just bear with me. I guess we will do a first item. I think, so I am an annual member, so I was able to make my own selections. We do have to add, as always, cute box, artwork, packaging. It's always sourced, the artwork is always sourced locally. And they have a little postcard, which I've been saving them, but actually I think I need to start using, like sending them to my sponsored children or something. And then it has a little magazine explaining all of the brands and all of the items that are in the shoe boxes, or the different choices that you could have made. So this is a Feed, F-E-E-D bag, and they work with some charities. It says this bag provides 3 meals. Oh, my husband's calling me. Okay, as I was saying before my husband called me, now my dog's out here, so all kinds of stuff is going on. So this bag was available in like a light gray, a dark blue, or like a multicolored striped. And originally I signed up to like get the striped, and then I changed my selection to this dark blue. And I'm happy about that because the stripes aren't like lined up on the sides and on the front, you know, and I think it would have driven me crazy. So this actually feels really sturdy. This has, I don't know if this is, well, it's probably fake leather or whatever. It has a little zipper pocket on the inside. It has 2 little sections on the inside where you can put like water bottles and stuff. You can use this probably as a picnic bag. To be honest, probably not as a lunch bag. I am really happy about this. I like carrying bags even if I don't necessarily need them, but also this one is from a good cause and it's really sturdy and thick, so I think that I will use this one and maybe just get rid of like some of the other like junkier ones that I have. I guess each time I show an item, I'll go through like a thing or two on this list from this book. I don't know. So there are a lot of things, a lot of points made in this book, and I'm not going to have time to go through all of them. And to be completely honest with you, I stopped taking notes after the beginning of the book. I have some dog-eared pages, but I just Yeah, we're just gonna go with this stuff. I definitely do recommend this book though, and read it all the way to the end. It actually only took me a few days because it was really interesting. The last almost 100 pages right here, this is just like a works cited. Like, this is all of his citations. So you know that he did his research, and I know we're not gonna get into all those details, but it did make a point, which I feel like I should have thought about before, and I never did, where it makes a point that all men are created equal was said, you know, when the United States was founded. And it's kind of really code for like white men, because at the time black people were slaves and women weren't able to vote or literally like do anything. So when people say all men are created equal, and when people were walking around saying that at the founding of this country, that's really kind of like a lie. It's just one of those things that people just said, and they still say it because it's a good soundbite. But if you think about the history of that statement, it's really kind of messed up. I don't know if this book talks about it too much. It might have, but something else that I've learned lately about Abraham Lincoln, you know, freeing the slaves, is that Lincoln actually did not intend to free the slaves. His intention was to keep the Union together. He did not want to be the president that lost half of the states. So that was his intention, and freeing the slaves was, or I should say enslaved persons, freeing the enslaved persons was kind of like a byproduct of that. And I do think that Lincoln did believe that slavery was morally wrong, just based on other writings that I've read of his from around that time and everything. But he didn't like intend to do that. That was just a byproduct of the war that happened. And additionally, it is really important, I think, that people learn about the party switch in US politics. So people like to say that Lincoln was a Republican and Republicans were the party that freed the slaves, which, like, yes, it's true on paper, but the Republican Party of the 1860s is actually today's Democratic Party. Somewhere around the early 1900s, it kind of switched, because if you think about it, like, Lincoln's values and FDR's values were kind of the same, and FDR was a Democrat. So I recommend that people educate themselves on the party switch, because that's something that I wasn't educated on myself until, you know, like as an adult, quite honestly. And the fact that people still go around saying that the Republicans were the party that freed the slaves is like, I mean, I guess on paper Lincoln was a Republican, but he's not a modern day Republican. So it's just, I don't want to say it's inaccurate, because it's factually accurate, but it's like, it's a fallacy, I guess. And this is the one more thing I will say before I do another product, is that the Civil War was about slavery. So I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, like even as recently as this morning, and it was actually an interview with a KKK member in North Carolina or something, I think, and he was saying that the Civil War was about states' rights. It's like, okay, but states' rights for what? States' rights to continue owning slaves. That's literally what the Civil War was about. And I don't know why in school they let us think that it's states' rights, and they just kind of, you know, sanitize our history in that sense, because it was literally about the right to continue owning slaves. And yes, Northerners did have slaves as well, enslaved persons, but that's such a nuanced topic, in that basically the South was really the vast majority of the slave owning population. And I am going to be making a separate video on rights and things that people of color have had to go through in this country, but I have quite a reading list of things that I want to finish reading before I make that video, so I can be as accurate as possible. Next thing that we have here is, so this was a choice. I think I could have gotten exercise bands, something else, or this. So what this is it's like a roll-up organizer for electronic items. Oh, the other thing was a reusable cup, which I already literally have the same exact one. I had bought it from the Causebox market. Oh, this is super cute. I literally thought it said my name because it says Catherine Tech Organizer Roll, but I think that's just the name of the roll, and it's not like my name, Catherine. Haha, okay. I'm not that special. So I figure when I go on vacation, I bring like all kinds of different chargers. Like, you know, I have a phone charger, I have an iPad charger, I have like a computer charger. So the intention is to wrap all of those things up in here. So that's what I got this for. I figured I would get the most use out of this one. Something that I found fascinating is that the United States didn't start celebrating Thanksgiving until around the time of the Civil War, when we needed basically an extra excuse to be patriotic and nationalistic. So Eastern Indians, Native Americans, had already been celebrating something very similar to Thanksgiving for a very long time, since before Europeans got to the United States. They did have a meal together, but it is literally not the version of history that you get taught in 2nd grade. Like, I'm talking 2nd grade United States school. I literally dressed up as an Indian and stuck feathers in my hair. Like, that is literally not okay. And they took pictures of us doing that, 2nd and 3rd grade, I remember, because I remember I wore the same costume for 3rd grade, and I remember it being like tight on me, but I wore it anyway. If I ever find that picture somewhere, I will definitely post it up here. And so really, a lot of history concerning Native Americans, American Indians, is this like white boy good narrative. And we were actually like really brutal and really violent. And when I say we, I mean white Europeans. And to be completely honest, like, my family wasn't here at that time, but I can recognize that I benefited from the institutions of Native American slavery and Black slavery, and again, that's a whole nother circumstance. But yeah, like, even my husband's family wasn't here at that time. His grandparents on his mom's side are both from Ireland, and his great-grandparents on his dad's side are from like an island off the coast of Sweden. So I mean, when people say like, well, my family didn't own slaves, well, like, that's not an argument. Anyway, okay, so this is dropping things by the brand Pure, P-U-R, and it says it's an illuminating setting spray, which I have one setting spray that I use, but it's kind of like running low. This is super cool. Like, you might be able to see how it's all like swirly in color and everything. I think that's super cool. And it even says blue light defense, which is like kind of interesting, but look how pretty this is. So hopefully it works as a setting spray beyond being pretty. Let's see if it smells good. It smells kind of like rose water. Okay, next topic. I kind of knew this, but I kind of had forgotten about it, because this is one of those things that you get taught in school, and then at some point you learn what actually happened, but because you already learned one thing and keep it in your head, that's what you remember. So the Mayflower settlers were not actually seeking religious freedom. The vast majority of the people on that boat, probably about 70%, were actually economic migrants. Basically the same as Central Americans and Mexicans coming up into the United States today. They were economic migrants from Europe, from England, and they came over here, kicked the American Indians out of their land, and like ruined everything. About 30% of the people on that boat were searching for religious freedom, but the vast majority were economic migrants. And I don't know if the reason Americans are super scared of migrants, economic migrants, is because like we're afraid historically that they're gonna do the same thing to us people of European descent that we people of European descent did to the Native Americans. So I don't know, I mean, it really makes you think. Okay, so this is a Stress Check sleep spray, fast acting vegan sleep spray with lavender and chamomile essential oils. I don't remember what the other choice item of this was. I'm pretty sure it was a choice item, but I think I didn't like whatever the other items were, obviously, so I picked this one, or I felt I would get the most use out of it. I mean, you definitely smell the chamomile. I'm not sure about the lavender. I smelled it on like the first spritz, but I don't really know if this is gonna help my stress or my sleep, but I mean, hey, it's worth a try, right? Next fact. Some Jamestown settlers actually rented themselves out as slaves to the Native American Indians because the settlers did like such a crappy job of adapting, and they were literally starving to death. So they actually ended up renting themselves out as slaves. The Europeans ended up renting themselves out as slaves because they needed food. And so they worked as slaves actually for the Native American people. And I feel like that's not taught in school. I mean, this author hypothesizes that it's not taught in school because it would ruin the narrative of, you know, Europeans came here and fixed everything up and were so strong and great and wonderful, when actually that's like literally not the truth. And I feel like it's okay to admit that there were some failures, and I don't know why schools don't teach those types of things, and why we always have to have this narrative of, yeah, white European guys did good job, when we didn't. All right, I have 4 more facts and 2 more items. My battery's running out too. Okay, so Squanto, the Native American Indian that you learn about in school, he was actually kidnapped, brought to Spain as a slave, and then escaped back by way of England and got himself on a boat to come back to the United States. So super interesting. They make it sound like he was just this cute little hero or whatever, and yeah, just those things I don't feel like I learned. And then additionally, as far as taking over the land, Europeans did not woo the natives because our lifestyle was better. We were just more violent. We just had more weapons, and we were able to take over because we were more violent and because we had more weapons, not because we were somehow better. And that also goes for Columbus conquering Haiti and everything. Like, it had nothing, it literally had to do with weapons, and that was it. So this is a phone charger, and it says it's like good for the earth. I think it's made out of recycled materials, and so it's a portable charger, you know, that you can carry around with you, which is one of the reasons why I got this little wrap Catherine kit, so I can carry this in there. But this, yeah, has a little charging cord, so you charge this and then you carry it around with you to charge your phone as you go. Next fact, natives learned many languages, so they spoke their own tribal languages, and then they also learned English when people came over, and then they learned like Portuguese and French and all the other languages. And actually, Europeans, the English people, used the Native Americans as translators because they learned all the languages, and like the English didn't learn languages. So yeah, they learned all the languages and everything, and then we use them as translators, and we still don't give them any credit in history books. And along with that, the natives were actually the ones behind the major events like Lewis and Clark. Like, literally, people didn't just go like trouncing around and finding their way. The only reason people were able to have expeditions was because the Native Americans already knew the land and they already knew everything around them, so they were able to lead white people on their big expeditions, and it's like really messed up. Last item is age-defying nail treatment essentials, power couple nail care duo. So there's an optimizer and then a cuticle oil. I'm assuming, oh, it says it on there. That makes sense. So again, this was one of those items that I don't know what the other choice was, but this was the best choice for me. So I picked these up, and my husband is home. So make sure you give this a thumbs up and subscribe.